we are going to discuss a new topic called data quality and search. Okay. So when it comes to data quality, there are two things are there, two type of data qualities. So in this particular data quality, one is in the data quality. These are, let's say, for example, when you're creating your master data or changing the master data. So during that time, we wanted to run some validations. Okay, so those validations are provided by business. We call them as a business rules. So business rule can be a kind of a check or it's a kind of a derivation. Okay, so that means when you're creating master data, so SAP or sorry, business provides some rules. Okay, these are the rules for any create scenario of my finished products, and these are the checks or validations has to perform when I'm creating like a suppliers or customers. And at the same time, they also provide some kind of derivations. So what are the this basically comes under validations, and derivations. Okay. So validation is nothing but the check has to be passed. Like, I mean, it will just do a check, like if this value is this one, or it should have some value, like kind of check. Okay. If the check passes through, we actually move further forward. If the check fails, we show some kind of error message or warning message there. Okay. So that is a check. Derivation is nothing but just defaulting some values. When I'm creating a plant, by default, automatically it should get extended to some plants. Or when as soon as I select a material type as a finished product, it should auto populate some external material group and some other. So these are basically kind of derivation. Okay. So these are derivation or auto population, whatever. And this is a validation or checks. Okay. So now if you look at both this, the nature of these validations and derivations, this is when you are actually creating a master data or when you're changing some master data. Okay. So within MDG, when you're performing some changes to a master data, so these checks will apply whatever you configure as part of the data quality. Okay. So there is another component is there in MDG that we call it as a DQM. Okay. So this is basically quality management, data quality management. So this is a kind of another, okay, so component. So this data quality management is also performs certain validations on the master data only, but at what time this will perform the validation, that actually makes the difference. So your DQ topic within MDG. Okay, so within MDG you have this data quality topic. So this, whatever the configurations that you do, configure the rules as part of this data quality topic, that is when you are creating or changing the master data as part of your change request process, these rules and derivations will get executed. Okay. Now data quality management is something similar to information steward. So if you come across information steward, that is a separate external tool. So that tool, what happens is, let's say for example, this is my MDG system, or you can take for this matter any SAP system, not only MDG, any SAP system or any Oracle or any other system. So ultimately the data will, there will be a database and the data will be say it will reside inside this tables. Now there is a information steward, a external tool. Now the purpose of this particular tool is, now I wanted to measure the data, the quality of my master data. Okay, so which means I am already having, let's say for example, 1 million of records. Okay, out of 1 million of records, there might be some good records, there might be some bad records. So good record is what are the record that is created as per the rules that you set up in the system. Bad record is basically maybe some of the mandatory information is not there, or the values of that particular record is not as per the business standards. Okay, so those we consider it as a bad records. Okay, now I wanted to measure how many bad records I have in my system, how much so you can measure. Let's say out of 1 million or 1 million of records, if you have all records are good records only, that means your data quality is 100%. Let's say if you have some 30% of the records are faulty records or bad data, then you can say 70% is your data quality and 30% is the one where it is not great as per your standards. Okay, so now how to measure whether it's a 100% good records or 30% good records? That's where this information steward tool come into picture. So what this tool will do is, basically you can configure certain rules inside this particular tool. Okay, all your business rules, when you're creating the master data, what are the rules that you are actually configured, those rules you can configure in the same information steward as well. Now execute those rules on the data that is already there in your system. So this tool will try to process all the records and it will try to apply the rules that are set up in this information steward tool. Now, each and every, all these 1 million of records will go through those rules, and maybe there might be some records which will come successfully and some records will show some error, some rules, it may not pass some rules. Okay. So in that case, what happens? Those records consider it as a bad records. Now that's this tool, the output of this particular tool is, okay, hey, I ran all the rules in your database and I got 70% of the good records and 30% of the bad records. So it will just give you a kind of information. Okay. It doesn't automatically correct anything. Okay. It will tell you how much good records are there, how much bad records are there. Okay. So now based on that, it will give you a list of bad records and what rule also failed. Now it's your responsibility to take those 30% of the records, find it out why these records are not failed or probably not as per that my business rule standard, and try to remediate or do a corrections to the database those records, so that the target is, after correcting all that records, when I run my information steward tool again, now I should, this count should get reduced, this 30% should get reduced, maybe 100% I should get and good records. Okay. So that is the purpose of this information steward tool. Okay. It has much more functionalities, but this is one of the aspect of this particular tool. Now, why I'm introducing this information steward tool is the same. This is an external tool, not inbuilt in SAP. That's where actually what SAP has done is SAP introduced another tool called DQM, another component called DQM. Okay. Now this particular DQM works whatever exactly I mentioned. Okay. Now this is a integral part of your MDG component. So within your MDG itself, you also have the DQM. Okay, there are certain applications are there and there are some configurations are there. So once you set up that configuration and you can enable that Fury applications. So after that, you can schedule, you can define the rules and schedule jobs so that the rules will apply on all the records and it will give you how much good record and how much bad records are there in your system. So this is, so here it won't change the data on the existing records, on your active records, not even staging records, on your active records only. This tool will actually apply those rules and it will give you the output. So how to configure this DQ and what are the applications are there, how to use those applications, that we will discuss. This is our towards during our Fury topic. I will actually introduce this tool and we will discuss there. Okay. But here what we are going to discuss is a DQ, data quality. Okay. So this DQ is part of your MDG configuration only. So here the DQ that we are going to discuss, that DQ, that data quality is basically when you're creating your master data, these what are the rules that has to apply. So that you can configure and those rules will be applied when you're creating or changing the master data. Both are having different purpose. Of course, both talks about the data quality only, but the purpose is different. The DQ deals with the data that is going to create or that is going to change, and DQM deals with the data that is already there in your system. Okay. So we will discuss both. What I'm going to discuss is the DQ module. Okay. Here we have the data quality and search. Okay. So as I mentioned in the last session, so data quality and search in this one, majorly we discuss with first topic that we are going to discuss is the search applications. So most of the time I open that material master BP and I'll show you that search applications, but we haven't in detail discussed about the search applications. So here we will discuss about search applications. And then after that, we discuss about the duplicate check configuration. And then we talk about the validations and derivations part. Okay, so these are the three mainly the topics that we are going to discuss as part of this particular DQ. Okay, so now let's start with search applications. So when you open any this MDG FPM applications, I'll open material master. Okay, so here there's a search material. Okay, similarly, let me parallelly open business partner as well. Okay, so here we have such business partner. Okay, so now in every MDG application, SAP provided commonly one search application. Even if you look at the customer governance also, you will have something called search application. Okay, so these search applications, right? So at least in your ERP or in your ERP side without MDG, I couldn't recollect any SAP GUIT codes where we have this kind of search applications where you can search the master data. Okay, so now why we wanted to search master data? Why we need this application, such application? Any points from your side? Why do we need these such applications?
What kind of data is already created in the system based on some parameters?
Yes. Okay, so basically, see the purpose, like the governance principles, the master data governance principles. What it says is create, sorry, search before create. That means whenever you wanted to create some data, first try to search if the data might be already available in your system. Okay. So if the data is already available, then there is no point in creating a new master data. It's like creating a duplicate record in the system itself, right? So you wanted to actually probably do some business with some customer, HP customer. Okay. Now, if HP customer is already there, and probably I'm not aware of that one, or probably I don't have any way to find whether the HP customer is there or not. Then what I will do, usually I'll go to that creation screen. I'll go and set up that record. Okay. So when you set up a new record, so now there are two customers are there with the same, for the same customer, there are two records are there in your system. Okay. So when you have duplicate records, so what could be the possible challenges or issues that you foresee? What is the issue that you can think of if you have duplicate records for the same customer? Okay, so let's say, for example, you have two customers. Okay, so a customer number is 200. This is for HP only. And again, you have not one, maybe some 401. This is also for HP customer only. Now there are two records are there. There are two customer numbers are there. Okay. So what happens is now I'm going to create a sales order. So when I create this sales order, I will use this customer number in my sales order one, and other person are going to create another sales order. And when he search with the customer, he find this 401. So probably he use this one. Okay. So now basically there are two sales orders which are referring to with the two customer numbers. Now later this HP, they mentioned that, hey, this address got changed, our bank data got changed. Okay. Some details got changed, right? So in that case, what happens is which record we need to update. So maybe this particular person, he will go and update this record. Okay. That means this record still refers the old data only. Okay, it won't get reflected, the new data. Or else if this person updates this record, the other record will. So basically, what are the records that you have? Those will go out of sync. Okay, so with that out of sync, the data is not accurate, and whoever is using the old record, so it will create some inconsistency or delay in your delivery processes. Okay, which will lead to some customer dissatisfaction. And even at the same time, if the leadership, the management, they wanted to see how much this particular person doing business with my organization, right? So with my company. So then if at all I have to take it out, the report, there are multiple customers are there for the same customer, and I need to consolidate all the sales orders from all these customer account numbers, right? So that will unnecessarily lead to a lot of issues. So that's why, as per the master data governance principles, we need to ensure you don't have any duplicate records. That is one of the primary goal of your master data governance, not to have any duplicates in a system. Okay. So now when that's why actually what SAP says is always whenever you are creating a new customer or new material or any master data, search before create. So for searching purpose only, if you don't have a flexible search mechanism, then it won't give a right result to you. Okay. If you have, let's say, for example, in material, there are thousands of attributes are there. But maybe if you have very few attributes, then you wanted to search with maybe some other attribute which is not part of this list, then it is you cannot do a search. So your search application should have a flexible way where you can actually add all your search parameters. Maybe some people will want to search with some different parameters. Some other plant people might want to search with some different criteria. So it will vary from team to team. So the first thing is you should have a flexible search application. where the parameters and everything can be configured in a flexible manner. That is one thing. Okay. And the other point is, maybe when I'm searching with a customer, I might have entered some wrong name. Instead of, let's say, XYZ, I entered the customer name as XZ. I missed some value in between, right? So still, if you have a flexible way that which actually gives you the result, the matching results, right, with some percentage. Okay, so that we call it as a fuzzy search. So fuzzy search is basically, even if you search with some, if there are in your search criteria, if there are some mistakes are there, spelling mistakes are there, so it will fetch the basically the matching records, close matching records. I'll show you that one. Okay, so likewise, there are and your search application should give the result or response in a faster manner. Okay, so all these actually part of search applications. So in MDG, SAP introduced or SAP added search applications for all the standard objects. Okay, so when it comes to the search applications, there are different ways that we can actually search the master data. One is using there are different techniques basically. Okay, so you can see there are different ways that you can actually search techniques or search methods you can use. One is DB search. Okay, and DB search is basically, it works exactly. DB search is, it's an exact search. Exact search in the sense, basically when you select with your customer number and click on search button or name, then it will find select star from that particular table where the name is equal to what are the value that you entered. So that's the exact search. So that it should match that exactly the same value. Even if one character is missing, and if there are no records, it will try no records found with that search criteria you entered. It won't give any result. Okay, so DB search is always is just like your exact search. So where we will use the select a where class, right? So where class we will use something like where this is a value is equal to this one XYZ. So if there is a record found, it will show you. Okay, now that is DB search, exact search. Okay, after that, SAP introduced something called enterprise search. So because there are certain performance issues are there, and it is always kind of DB search. So SAP introduced something called enterprise search. So enterprise search works based on your trucks search engine. So SAP had some proprietary search algorithm that is called truck search long back, and they used the same trucks engine concept over here to search your master data. So that is called as enterprise search. Okay, so this is basically like Google kind of search, enterprise search. Okay, but still it has some issues. Now with introduction of HANA, so SAP actually introduced this HANA search. Okay, so this HANA search, now almost everything, all the customers, whoever is there on HANA, so they always go with HANA search. Okay, so HANA search is very flexible. So flexible in that sense, if you look at, okay, so one is the fuzziness, like when I enter something, it will find the close matching records as well, not only the exact match records. Okay, so now after that, you can see these parameters are there. These we call it as your search parameters. Now these search parameters, currently by default, it shows some values over here, some parameters. But if you extend your data, for example, you wanted to add more such parameters, those parameters may be standard parameters which are not part of this list, or probably those might be some custom attributes as well. You might extend your data model with custom attributes. Now you wanted to search the data based on your custom attributes as well. Okay, so adding or bringing those fields which are not part of this one, those might be a standard or custom fields into this search parameter list is just couple of clicks for us. Okay, so that much of a simple version that SAP released with this HANA search. Okay, so now if you look at, and also that fuzziness is also there over here. We will discuss, I'll show you that one. But if you look at this search application, it broadly divided into three parts. The first part, you can see search method. So this particular first part here, you can choose which technique you wanted to use the search. Like you wanted to go with enterprise search, or you wanted to go with HANA search, or within HANA search also you can create a multiple these kind of views. We call it as a search views. So you can add as many as search views, and you wanted to search with remote client key search. So likewise, you can actually choose the method, which method you wanted to choose. But these days, whoever is there HANA, so this enterprise search is replaced with HANA search. So everyone will use HANA search, or the search views which are created over here, which are based on HANA search. Okay. So those things basically you can choose that. Let's say if I select this HANA search, so there are two HANA searches are there. One is without classification, other one is with classification. Okay. So when I search, just click on HANA search, I just see here these search parameters, but it doesn't have the classification related attributes or anything. Okay. But if I choose here HANA search with classification, there will be automatically, it will add this particular tab. You can see now here, you can search the data based on your classification as well, your class type. Then you can choose your class and you can search with characteristics as well. Okay. So basically, you can actually configure here the search views that are based on the search view that you select here, and whatever the attributes that you configured under that particular search view. So whatever the attributes you configured under that particular search view, so those will get reflected, get added over here. So that's why these search methods are there, which search method you wanted to choose for your search. Okay. And after that, the second part is you can actually, this talks about your search criteria. Okay. So search criteria is basically whatever the attributes that are configured under the selected search view. So those attributes will show up over here. You can actually add. Okay. So you can use all your relative these operators. Okay. If at all you want, you can make use of these buttons. You can add as many as parameters over here. Okay. So this second part contains your input criteria for your search. Okay. And also you have, once you enter your data, you can click on search so that it will execute the search based on these parameters and it will show the result in that DOM. Okay. So now you have other buttons like reset to default. When you click on reset to default, it will set to original position. If you enter some data over here, and after that, when you click on clear entries, so it will just clear your values. Okay. And it also, let's say, for example, I wanted to search with the material type is equal to FERT. This is my search criteria. Okay. So now you can actually save your search as well. Okay. So let's say, for example, demo one, I'm just selecting here it as demo one, click on save. Okay. So when you click on save, it acts as your variant kind of thing. In MDG, in ABAP, you are aware of that variant, right? So you can search, you can name that variant. And after that, whenever I open this, my search application again, okay, you go to your search material. So, okay, here you can see that drop down your saved search. It is your variant. So when you click on this, it automatically shows that data again. Okay. You can delete this search view as well, say variant as well. Okay. So that's about the search parameters. Okay. Now after that, once you select your input criteria and click on search, it gives you some result. Okay. So let me, if I search with the FERT material types, when I click on search, okay. So it shows the result. Now in the result, there might be more records, but the default value you see here, number of results are 100. So system will query all the data. From that one, it will only show these many records, 100 records only at a time. Here you can see this is your result screen. Okay. It shows 100 records at a time. Okay. So it shows the 100 records. So you can change this value. This is the default one, but you can change it to, let's say, for example, 999 something. Okay. You can enter this value and click on search. Okay. You see it spread across 28 pages. Okay. So that's how you can actually search the data. I'll say reset to default and I'll enter FERT. Okay. So based on, okay, this is a material number, right? So I'll choose the material type. Okay. It gave this result. Okay. Now from here, you got the data, and this particular data is combined result of your active area as well as your staging data as well as your active data. Okay. So because there might be some records which are in creation process, but those are not yet approved. So those staging records also it will show up. Okay. So whatever the data that is matching, and it will bring up both active and inactive data. Okay. So now you can see here, these are the some material numbers, and you can see some important parameters over here in the result. Okay. So now from this result, basically, you can actually, if the records are not, whatever the record that you are looking, if that record is not available, you can initiate anyway creation process. From here itself, you can click on new, which will actually take you to a new material creation. This copy button is there, but it is grayed out. but now when you select one record, it will enable. Okay, you can actually copy this record. That means it is also creating a new record only, but it will copy the data from the selected record and into a new record. Okay, it's a copy functionality. Mass change. You can select some multiple records. From here itself, you can initiate a mass change. Multi-record, multi-processing is also kind of mass change only. Okay. Now here you wanted to see the change documents. So change document, when you click on this one, it will show up all the change documents, change history of that particular material. Okay, see, you can see the change history. And here, if you go to in the drop down, if you choose attribute changes, okay, it will show up here which attributes got changed in which as part of which CR. So here material number, okay, $30 $5. So this is the initial material creation CR. As part of this one, all this data is maintained. After that, you can see as part of this change request 32, item category value originally it's a blank. This value changed from blank to CBUK. After that, again, as part of the another change request, the same item category got changed from CBA UK to LEAS. So likewise, if how many CRs are there, how many changes this record undergone. So all those change history will be shown over here along with the change request numbers. Okay. So, and this is very helpful for the business users, and they can actually export this data into XLS, and on the Excel record, they can actually go for all that filters and apply and find, do some analysis on these records. Okay. So, but you will have the change history of that, all the objects over here. Okay. Now, after that, you have some replicate buttons, replicate status and replicate. So basically, I wanted to replicate this data to some target system. You can select this and click on replicate button. It will take you to the page where you can actually choose the systems to which system you wanted to replicate this data. Okay. So this we will discuss as part of the replication topic, data replication topic. But here you will have your target systems. You can choose the target system and you can click on replicate button so that this data 11, this material number 11 will get replicated to this particular target system. Okay. So that we will discuss it over there. And if you okay, and there is also change request but option is there. So when you select this one, it will show up all the change requests that are used for this material till now. Okay, so 30, 31, 32, 193, 19, 250. Likewise, it will show up all the change requests that are involved as part of this object change. Okay, so these are the some quick buttons where you can actually navigate. That's why we call this search application as one stop for all kind of activities. Okay. Similarly, if you go to business partner also, search business partner. So here also more you will have the similar kind of features. Okay. You will have your search method. Okay. Then you will have your search criteria. Then after that, you will have your result in the down. From here, you can click on create a new business partner or select a record and block that or delete or change documents, replication status, replicate, copy, change request. So everything is there. So the theme remains same. It just the data might be this is it will show up your business partner data and this will show up your material related data. Okay. Now here on the result, okay, now we need to understand, as I mentioned, it fetches the data from, okay, so before going there, so I mentioned that fuzziness. So fuzziness, you see here, we search with material type F. So it fetch some records for which exactly the material type is equal to FERT. See here, all these are FERT material types. Now, there is something called a search rank. So this rank is 100%. That means this is an exact search. All the records here that you see, these are exactly 100% matching from your input criteria. Okay. So search rank is not part of your data model or anything. It's a transient field that added in your search application to tell you that what is the this based on your input criteria, the result is exactly matching or it is only matching to some extent. Okay, so that is also that's we call it as a fuzziness. Okay, let's say for example I search with FRT, maybe by mistakenly I entered FRT. Okay, I click on search, still I'll get the records with FERT. See here, I get the records with FERT. Okay, and the search rank this time is 75%, which means you are trying to search a material type with FRT, but there are some records with FERT. So there is a close match. So that's why it is not, it's never 100%, but from your input criteria to the result, so there is a matching. Okay, so why I'm saying this one is because in when you're working in any customer project side, so most of the time the end users, the business users, they are not aware of this one. What they will say is, hey, I'm searching with FRT material tag, but I got the results for FERT. Why I'm getting this for FERT? This is because of the HANA search. That okay, so you always look at the rank, and if it is not 100%, it's up to you whether you wanted to consider it or ignore it. But though it is showing that one, it is not saying that this is an exact match, right? So that's why SAP added this such a rank functionality. So this will be helpful when you are searching with some names. As I mentioned for HP customer, right? Some people will create HP, some people will create Hewlett Packard, some people will use some shortcut techniques, right? So whatever may be your that the data like street or city name or address. So especially in those cases, we cannot expect the end user or business user to enter the exact thing. They might be even in Google also you'll enter something that some text that will have some spelling mistakes. Still you ignore and you click on search. So it will give some matching results, right? So that's how it works. Okay. So after this, now as I mentioned, it gives some active records as well as staging records. Now, how do I identify whether it's the record it is showing it is an active record or staging record? So you can see the first column, pending change request. Okay, which means basically for these records, there is no pending change request. It is just showing your material number, which means there is no inactive record. This particular material, 22 material number is not part of any change request at this point of time. There are no open change requests are there. That means whatever the version that you are seeing here, this is the exact copy of your database table record only. Okay, there is no other changes at this point of time. Whereas you look at this one here, 21 is an active record. Okay, it is already there, but it is all someone created some change scenario, change request. Okay, for this particular material. Okay, so that's why there's a clock symbol here. So this clock symbol indicates this is an active record, but it also has some opens here. Okay, now here, let's say, for example, if I click on this hyperlink, it will take me to the active record, the record that is there in my backend database table. Whatever it shows in your MM03, the same it will show up over here. When you click on that directly on the material number, so it will just directly show that record. But if you click on this particular symbol, it will fetch the data from your staging table and it will show. That means it will open up the change request. Along with that, whatever the changes are done, if there might be some delta changes done from active version to inactive version, those changes are in progress, it will show up that record. So there's a difference between both. Okay, so let me show you that. I will open this 22 record first. Okay, I can click on edit. Okay, so I'll just enter some text. I'll do some changes here. Okay. So I'll do some changes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just entered 1, 2, 3, 4 and enter. Okay. Now it highlighted that this record got changed. So from old value MDC CLF mass to MDC CLAM mass 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this is the change I've done. What I'll do is I'll just click on submit. Okay. So now you see this is a system created 733 is a change request number. Now I'll just search it again for 22 record. It is showing the change request as well as your active record. So if I open this 22, if I click on this 22, it won't show the changes that I have done as part of the CR at this point of time, because it will fetch the active record. The changes are still there in your change request staging table only. Okay, see here it has the old value.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
But whereas if at all I wanted to see what changes this user has done as part of this change CR, then you can click on this button. Okay. Now it will open up that your CR, that whatever that 731 or 21. Okay. See, it shows that those changes. So that is the difference between, like, I mean, you can identify which is an active record, which is an inactive record, where it contains open CRs. And there is a difference between if you open this versus if you open this one. Okay. That's fine. So that is one thing. And if you also, if you, okay, I think, so that's about this search application. Okay. Any questions so far? Is this clear to all of you?
For search method, we have drop down, right? Search. Okay, I want to set a default for that UA level to where we are doing this by default value.
Default, you want it always.
By default, yeah, when we open it.
There is nothing from the standard, but you need to do some enhancement for that one in the search framework classes. So it will show up in a sequence only. Okay, it shows up in your alphabetical order. I believe it shows up in alphabetical order. But you wanted to always default this one. You need to do some enhancement. There is no configuration for that one.
Yes, so where we will do this enhancement?
That is somewhere in the classes. I need to just look at that, but I can give you some class where you can debug that.
Can you please give me the class name?
Yeah. So there's HDB classes.
The get data method or better class?
No, not in feeder class. In your access class only. Access class has that HANA search interface implemented. Yeah, I can see here this. So HANA, so somewhere you need to put a breakpoint over here and somewhere. I will give you that one. So maybe this one, or there might be some standard framework related classes. So there it will show. I did long back that one, but I'll give you that class name. Okay, but not in the feeder class. Of course, you can do it in the feeder class also. Feeder class is basically for this feeder class, right? So you can go to the technical help and maybe you can play around with that in the feeder class as well. That is also there, but in the standard level also we can do that one. I'll give you that class. Okay, fine. So now coming back to our topic. Okay, so now the question is how to add my custom attributes over here. Okay, or else in your organization, let's say for example, different roles are there, different teams are there, like a plant team is there, procurement team is there, then sales team is there, finance team is there. Okay, so they might be dealing searching with a different type of parameters. So you need some search views over here. Okay, so those search views are basically one search view with the plant related attributes, one search view with maybe finance related attributes, some one search view with probably sales related attributes, something like that. Okay, so basically all those can be generated or created through some configuration. Okay, so for that one, you can actually in the data quality, expand data quality, search. Okay, so here there is something called create search view. Okay, you can click on this. Okay, this is the place all the HANA search views are available from standard SAP. Okay, you can see these are MDGF starting with this is for the finance till here. Then after that, you have something called with MDG. For MDG, you have this is a HANA search and the other one is a HANA search with classification. HANA search with classification. These two are for, and you have for BP. Similarly, one for customer, one for supplier. Okay, so these are the search views that are there from standard. Now, when you get a fresh MDG system, okay, so what happens is these search views by default won't come automatically here, which means when you click on this open material governance and when you see here, it won't show your HANA search and this with classification. These will be in inactive mode. Inactive mode means, so whatever you can see here, there are two statuses are there. One is initially you will have all the search views with this status saved, not generated. Okay, so this is saved but not generated. That indicates that this search view is there, but it is in inactive mode. Okay, so now you can activate this search view. So if you look at this one for business partner, this address search is there, address search in bracket HANA. Okay, so let's look at here. We don't have that one. You see here in the drop down, this is not coming. Address search HANA, address search based on HANA. Okay, so this is in inactive mode. So that's why you are not able to see here. This is your DB search. Okay, but you don't see here anything address search with HANA. Okay, now you can activate that. How to activate that? So the same steps you need to follow for any object. for the standard out-of-box objects, all the such views are in inactive mode only. You can see all finance OG also saved not generated mode only. Okay, so I'll show you how to activate this for one. You need to follow the same steps for other. Okay, so now address search is there, right? So you can always click on this particular button. Okay, so here this is your search view name, and this is the description that will show up in the drop down, and this is a business activity and HANA. You can just click on edit. Okay, and here you can give any Z package. Let's say ZMDG BP. You can just give ZMDG BP. So it's any free text starting with Z. So what happens is, in the backend, when you generate this, when you activate this, it creates a CDS view. That CDS view will be stored under this particular package on HANA Studio. Okay, so that's why I just mention some package here and then click on next. Okay, we will discuss this in detail for Material Master. Now, after this, I just wanted to show you how to make it active, the standard search use. So I'm not going to discuss anything here. And again, just simply click on next. Okay, now here there is a save button. Click on save. Okay, it asks for the transport. So I'll just choose another existing transport. Okay, it got saved but not generated. Now you need to click in the top. There is a generate button. This is the time where it creates one CDS view in the packet. So click on generate. Okay, now you see search view generated successfully, which means now this search view is active. Active means I can go to my address business partner search view. Okay, so when you click on again, refresh this page, go to search business partner. In the drop down, you will find address search HANA. This is, which is not there earlier, right? So this is how you can enable the standard search views. The same you need to just follow for MMBP customer, all the objects. Okay, so that is how you can actually generate the search view. Fine. Now we just, so if you go to this search view also, when you do a refresh here, refresh. Now see here, the status changed from save not generated to generated, your address search view, and it activated with this particular user. So that's how whatever the search views you need, only those search views you can activate it. Okay, so this is how you can actually bring the standard out of box search views into the your search applications. Fine. Now the next requirement is coming back to our material master. I wanted to add some attributes over here, which are maybe not part of this one. I wanted to add more attributes over here. Okay, so how to do that one? First, identify what is the search view here for this one in the configuration. That means I'll just close this window again. So here itself under the data quality. So here you can just click on this HANA search view, create search view. It will open up the same page. Now identify that search view in material master. Only two search views are there. This is the one. Okay, MDGM _MM _orgs. So this is the HANA search, the description. Okay, so this is the search view that we wanted to add some fields. Okay, HANA search. Here I wanted to add some attributes. Okay, so this is the search view. First identify the search view and just click on this. Okay, here. So this is the search view you wanted to add. Okay, so the same how we activated that BP search view. This is the same screen. Okay, now I can click on next. Okay, here click on edit in the step 2. Earlier I just skipped the step 2. Now let's look at this step 2. Here it shows your data model. Okay, so when you expand your data model, it shows your type 1 entity. Now further, when you expand your type 1 entity, you have here your the attributes under this type 1 and all other type 4 entities. This is exactly the same view of your data model, that visualized data model. Here we have this visualized data model, right? So collapse all material. Under material, you have all the attributes. Under that, after that, you have, these are the direct attributes. After that, you have all your child, the type 4 entities. Okay, so the same view is also presented here. It's represented over here. You can see attributes for direct attributes under material entity and all your type 4s. Now from this list, already there are certain attributes that are already selected. Let's say, for example, I expanded the attributes under material entity, type 1 entity, like your material number or old material number. There are certain attributes are already selected. So in this one, you see here, the old material number is coming here. Okay, because it is selected over here. Now there are other attributes. Whatever the attributes that you wanted to add, you can add those attributes as well over here. So let's choose some attribute. Okay, so there is something. Okay, this is also selected. Okay, let's take batch management. Okay, you can choose the batch management over here, checkbox. Similarly, it's not necessary from your type 1. You can also choose any attributes from your other type childs as well. Okay, so I'll choose something from, let's say, okay, material purchasing data attributes. Okay, so international material number. I'm just choosing this one as well. So we selected two, one under the batch management under type 1, one under type 4. Okay, so just click on next. Here, this is a summary. What are the attributes that are selected? Okay, so here you can look at your batch management is there. And after that, in material purchase also, the attribute that you selected, right? International material number, that is also there. So it just gives a overview. Then finally save, then generate. Okay. Now we go to this search view, this HANA search view. So if I do a refresh, see here, this actually modified with this particular user. Okay. Now you can actually go to this again, search material. Under HANA search only, we added two attributes. I can see here batch management. We added under this one only, right? Products. HANA search only. HANA search. Okay. It should show up over here, those two attributes. Both attributes are not coming. Maybe some issue in the backend on the HANA DB side, but this is how we will do it. Okay, so it will work for sure. First time I'm seeing this, it is not reflecting over here. Okay, so it will work. So there's no issue with that one. The search view is also generated correctly, but that's fine. It will generate. So that's how actually you can add it. Okay, so alternatively, the other option is, what is the other option here? So now these are the standard search views. Now what I've done, I just did some changes to the standard search view. Okay, so that will basically, that means we are losing whatever the standard SAP delivered search view. So in most of the times in the projects, we don't actually activate this search view. Instead of this one, what we will do is, because if you activate this and after that, if customer says some changes, you need to modify on this one. So basically you are working on the standard SAP delivered search view. So where you will, if they say to remove some attributes and all that stuff, so basically we need to delete those attributes from the search view and untick those attributes. So instead of that one, let it remain in a inactive mode. That means first time, let it be there in a saved not generated state only. But what we can do is we can take this one and create a copy. Okay. So in the copied version, what I'll say is Z, you can keep any name, your search view name. Okay. Just mention Z MDG M underscore. I just added this. Click on OK. Here, just provide your new description. Okay. What is the description? It says HANA search, right? So I'll say HANA search. Let's say, for example, purchasing view. So I just added purchasing view, something like this. Okay. Now here, the package, you just give it your own package. Don't use this TMP. Probably this could be the reason it is not generating over there, because for the previous one, it activated through under this particular package. So let's give some ZMDG underscore MM. I'm just giving this search view, this package name, and next, because we are copying from the previous one, standard one. So those selection will remain over here. Okay. Now on top of this one, you can do some additional changes. Let's take, for example, EN category, net weight is there. Let's say, for example, net weight is there. I selected net weight. Okay. And also let me select some other attribute. Under Mara purchase, I'll choose, let's say, manufacturer. Okay. Manufacturer and the other attribute. So we just added two more attributes. Okay. So next, it will give you the summary. Finally save, then generate. So you should get this message, search view generated successfully. Okay. So now this search view got created. Okay. You can close this and go to this one and do a refresh. You will find your newly created one here. Okay. This is the one which we just created. HANA search purchasing view. Okay. And status shows it has generated and who created this. This is fine. Okay. So now we, instead of activating the standard, assume that we created a copy of the standard and you activated this. Now this you can actually, when I go to the search application, okay, you can see here HANA search purchase view. So the point I'm trying to highlight, because if there are some changes, we might get in future some changes. So better not to activate, because now already the standard one is active. I cannot make it inactive, which is already active. So then let it, it will be active mode, and we are creating one more. So user will get confused between these two things. So assume that if I didn't activate this, and if I activated a copy of, I copied this one and created a new and activated this one, then user will see only this one purchase view, one sales view, something like that. So that's why I'm saying better create a copy and activate that copied version, and let this original one, standard one, remain in inactive mode only. Okay. So now if you select this HANA search view, ideally we should get, see net weight, we added net weight, that is coming up. And the other one we added is net weight, and there is one more, international material number. So maybe we added in ideally standard also should, you should be able to add in the standard also, because of that package. Maybe that it got activated under TMP package. That could be that's why you are not able to see. But because I copied from the standard to this Z1, so this selection is also added, and it is showing here, not in the standard search view. Okay. So this is also we added net weight, and batch management also coming, because this selected in the standard one and that is copied over here. So it is showing up over here. Okay. So basically you can actually copy the standard and activate that, and you have an option to choose your what attributes you wanted to display, and unwanted attributes you can remove it, because unnecessarily it is showing up this big list, right? Maybe for example, comment, basic text. If you don't wanted to, you wanted to keep it simple and with less number of the attributes, you can untick those and activate your search view. But play around with the custom search view, create a copy of from the standard to copy Z version, and on the Z version, you can play around with what attributes you wanted to do. Just activate it, and then it automatically gets reflected over here. If the same thing, if at all you have to do it in enterprise search or database search, it's a very big development activity. So SAP provided it as a configurable item for us. So that is about HANA search view. Any questions on this?
When you are editing that search view,
Hmm.
there we can see business object type as 194. In our cases, we have created our own business object type, right? Or object type
So
code.
So this I'm talking about for the standard applications. Okay.
Mhm.
For standard applications, these search views are already created. But what
Okay.
about for our custom application? For custom application, we need to create our own search view. You need to create similar to like this. Okay, let me show you. So if you go to this UI modeling topic, manage UI configuration. Okay. So we created our SOP applications by copying the standard template, right?
Correct.
Now, similarly for search also, SAP provided one template. Okay. So by using this template, basically you need to copy this using this particular template. You need to first create your search view. That search view will look like this, similar to like this. You will have search method, some search parameters, and result.
The one copied into G is different from the one which you are showing to create via template.
Okay, so let me here in this one, for this one also I use the backend 194 only, right? So this is 194, because for 194 already the search view is already available. Search application is available basically.
Such application is available.
Available. That's why for 194 you can create as many as such views. As soon as you use here business object type 194, system will pick up this UI application. This UI application, because this is already developed by SAP. Similarly, for let's say for example for BP, okay, for business partner, for this one the business object type is 147. So as soon as it's the 147, this search application is already available for business partner. So that means these are the out-of-box UI applications, search applications. Okay. For our scenario, for our custom data model, we created a SOP application, OVP application for the master data creation purpose, but we haven't created any search application for that. But that is also possible. We can create a similar to that some search application, and to create that search application, this is the template we need to use. So SAP provided two templates. One is your SOP creation, this template. For search application, this is the template. Now from here, how to create towards end, once we complete all other topics, because this we don't actually use at all mostly. Okay. So that's why I haven't shown this demo. But towards end, once we complete all other topics, maybe someone can make a note. And during that time, I will, if time permits, we can create build some search application as well for our data model. Okay. So if you create first, you need to create that kind of search application. Once the search application is available for your custom data model, then you can start here configuring your search views over here. Okay. But in your custom data model, usually we don't create this search views. At least we created multiple custom data models, but most of the time it will be like create, change display scenarios only. There is no search application that we need to develop. But we can look at, or else at least I will share a document towards end if I find something, or else we will see that demo as well. Okay.
Okay.
But now you understood, right? For the standard objects, already these search applications are available. What we are doing is we are creating the views, not the application.
Application.
So
Okay.
yeah, we are creating this kind of views. Okay. So there is one view with standard and another view I created. But to create altogether this application, that is also possible. We can do, but we need to spend some time over there.
One more question.
Yep.
We covered all the 4 baddies, right? On the day you told like it's a flex data model, and we have a baddie or workflow. We'll be writing our logic to make it as a reused one.
Yes.
So are we
That
going
is
to
a
cover
system.
it later? System.
System call baddie only. Just you need to
System
read the
call.
data and write and insert statements into your tables.
Okay.
So we discussed actually that one. Yeah, in the system call baddie I discussed, but we didn't actually coded that one. But I showed you that APIs, right? How to read the data from the change request. So there are multiple examples are there in the baddies. So like how to read the data from your CR, right? By passing your key. Okay. So that's how you can read all the entity data into your some local structures. And then it's just matter of writing some select insert statements into your Z tables. But that will be like in the system call baddie only. If you recollect that we discussed 3 scenarios in the system call baddie. One is triggering the email. One is inserting the data into Z tables. The other one is creation of the follow-ons here. So there I highlighted at that point because in case of reuse mode, if at all you have to develop that in a reuse mode, you need to develop that class, access class, everything, right? So that is it takes a lot of time to build that scenario, but that is the recommended approach. Okay. And even if at all you wanted to do with that proper actual reuse mode also, that is also possible. The only thing is that you can refer that S-flight access class. In the data model, there is an S-flight SF data model. So there is an access class also there. So you can refer that access class and build that logic. Okay. That is option 1. The shortcut technique people will use is basically in the system call, you develop this as a flex data model only. Okay. And you do everything as a flex data model, whatever we have done till now. But you create a workflow in the rule-based workflow after successful activation, add an step like maybe active area step or something like that. There you link your system call baddie. Inside the system call baddie, make insert statements into your application table. Approach we discussed, but I haven't shown that in the system.
Okay. Yeah.
Fine, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So any questions on the search application? It's very simple. Just go to that create search view and you can actually activate either standard or copy the standard into Z and add or tick or untick that whatever you want. And then finally generate that search view. That's it. Okay. Now, after this, there is something called here. All these other configurations, whatever you see, these configurations are for enterprise search. We don't actually use this enterprise search. Everyone is using HANA search only. Okay. Now, with respect to HANA search, let's say, for example, you added one Z table. Okay. So let me show you the scenario here. So you have, let's say, data model. Under data model, you have your material entity. Under material entity, you created some ZSU type 4. Okay. Now here on application side, you have Mara table. So this data gets stored over here and this data gets stored into some Z Mara table. Okay. So there's a share. Now the thing is that I wanted to add some attributes. So there are other standard attributes are there. Standard SU type 4s are there. Standard SU type 4s. Okay. So these are, let's say, for example, a plant, and this is, let's say, a sales, and this is, let's say, purchasing. Okay. So likewise, there are standard SU types are there. So in your search view, this is you can add attributes from this one. You can add attributes from this. You can add attributes from here, add attributes from here, because these are the standard entities and standard attributes are there. Even under this entity, if you add some Z attribute also, you can do that one. Okay. So under standard entity, if you enhance with custom attributes or standard attributes are already there, so you can include in your search view attributes from standard attributes as well as the custom attributes from standard entities. Okay. Now here the scenario is different. The scenario is you introduced a brand new SU type 4 child. Under this, you have added some attributes 1, 2, and for this child, there's a altogether a separate table is there. In this case, though that in the data model you see this particular one, this entity, if you add those attributes, it will during that generation system will give some error because in the backend this particular configuration where you maintain all the joins, the required joins for the standard attributes and the standard entities, all those mappings, joins, and everything you will maintain. But for your custom entity, you won't be having that join or the joins and the linkage between your Mara table and that Z table. So that won't be there. So now you need to actually come in that case, you need to come to this configuration. Okay. If you open this here, the easiest way is refer. Okay. So you can see here the complete, I'll just go to display mode. Okay. So you can refer all the objects. So here search with your business object type 194. Okay. The table name is Mara. The main table is Mara. So this is the place, the first join attributes. This is the place from Mara to all the child tables. So the joins are maintained. Look at here. Mara and Marcy, the join is already there. So this is the place where the linkage is already happened. Okay. Bit from Mara to Marcy, the cardinality is 1:n. It's always left outer join. Okay. Left outer join. And you can also look at the join condition. Okay. So the join condition is between mandate field and matner. Okay. This type of linkage will be missing for your ZMara table between Mara and ZMara. So you always refer this relation similar to this one. You just maintain this kind of relation. That is go to in edit, add a new entry between in the new entry, maintain 194 Mara. This is ZMara table and rest everything same and maintain the join condition as well between Mara and ZMara. That is a step 1. Once this is done, there is something called field mapping. Here, this is the place where you will have the linkage between your entity and the table. Okay. So let me go to data model, material entity. Okay. Now you see here. Okay. So just refer here. There's a linkage between this is a material entity and there's a long text attribute, the material description. Basically, this is a material description. This is the entity. This is the attribute. Okay. And this is a table. And in the table, MAKT is the table, active area table, and the field name over here. Okay. So basically this one. Okay. And after that data element, this is the data element also you need to mention. And after that here, your table name underscore attribute name. So you need to maintain in this format. Okay. So in our case, it will become like whatever your material entity. Okay. Let's say this is a matner. Okay. So matner and this is your active area that, okay, sorry, this is not a material. This is your custom attribute. Sorry, custom entity, that this is the entity. My mistake. So here this ZSU type 4 you need to mention over here. Then attribute. Okay. And then your Z table. This is your ZMara table and the ZMara table and the attribute. That means corresponding to this material entity attribute. So this will be your table and table attribute. Okay. You need to mention like this. You need to repeat this for all the attributes for which you wanted to maintain the join search parameters. So let's say in my Mara table, ZMara table, there are 10 attributes are there. Out of 10 attributes, 2 attributes I wanted to add it in the search parameters. Then for the 2 attributes, you need to repeat this one. Okay. So entity, your Z entity, the attribute, and the Z table corresponding attribute. So mention like this. And after the field name, then you will have the data element. Okay. So the data element. Okay. And after that, okay, you can see your table underscore attribute name. So just mention like this, repeat the same thing with your custom entity, custom attribute, the corresponding custom table, custom attribute, and the data element, and the table underscore this one. Just repeat the same for the attributes from your custom entity, which you wanted to add it as a such parameters. So two steps. One is maintain the join condition between Mara and your custom table, or between Marcy and your custom table. That is the step one. And step two is maintain the field mapping. So with this one, what happens is when you generate the set view, so these attributes also will get added in the CDS view. Okay. After that, you can go to your HANA set view, you can choose those attributes and generate your set view. This is required only when you have a custom entity or custom table. Okay. But other than that, if you wanted to add any standard attributes or custom attributes from standard entities, this step is not required. This step is not required. Only when you add a custom table and custom entity. But in the other case, you can add a custom attributes from material entity, custom attributes from any of the standard attribute entities. For that one, this particular thing is not required. This is not required. Only this is required. Okay, this is clear. And again, on this one, you don't find documentation anywhere. This is whoever actually worked on this in the product development on this such, only they will aware of these configurations. Okay, so just go through it and try to look at how it is maintained over here, so that this will be very helpful if at all you are adding custom entities or custom tables. If you are extending your data model with custom entities and those entities attributes you wanted to bring into your HANA session, so this is a mandatory step. Without this, even though if you try to generate your set view, it will give some error. Okay, this is one thing. And the other one thing also what I wanted to show you here technically, some useful information. If you go to your access class, okay, here there is something called adapt where class. So this is one of the important method. Okay, in this adapt where class, this is the class, you can see CV where class. Okay, so this is the place where you will see your exact select statement. What is a select statement? Select stock, matter, material type, everything from so and so table, where the material number is equal to this one, and the material type equal to this one, and plant equal to this one. So this is the final where select statement. Though it says here it's a where class, but it contains your actual select statement, what is going to fire in your backend database table. If something is not working, okay, you enhance all these things and everything, your field mapping, joins and everything you have done. But still, if something is not working, just put a breakpoint over here and see how the select statement get created here. From here, you can start debugging. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'll keep a breakpoint over here. I'll go to my this one. I'll enter, let's say, material type FERT. Click on search. See, it will stop over here. Okay. I will look at this where class. It won't show the complete query here. You can use this text in browser. Okay. Now I can look at your exact select statement with material type equal to FERT. Material type FERT. What it says, contains material. So now here see, it adds Mara underscore MTART. This underscore thing in the join field condition I said, right? The table name underscore your field name. So that's how it gets added. And your score I mentioned, right? The score field also get added over here. Okay. And this is your CDS view that got generated in the backend. There will be two CDS views. One CDS view is for your active area data, that is underscore reuse. There will be another CDS view that is with staging data. So it will create. So here you will see only the active area select statement. So basically there will be two select statements that get executed. One on your active area CDS view, another one on your staging area. Okay. But in this access class, you will be having visibility to see only the active area thing. The staging area stuff, we never get any issue because that will be taken care by the framework only. All we need to see is whether your select statement properly prepared or not, that you can see. If at all you wanted to modify something, along with that you wanted to add some more in the where class, maybe for example, language or something like that. Okay. So most of the time people, what they do is they create some implicit enhancement over here. Then you can write this semi where class. You can split it at where class. Okay. You can write a split at where class. That means where is that where class? Yeah. So here, So when you split it where class, this portion will come into one variable and this will go into another variable. Now on the second variable, you can modify this select statement and finally concatenate again everything. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to say, the select statement will be here. You can manipulate the select statement. And if at all you wanted to add more where parameters or something, then you get the result accordingly. Is this clear to all of you? Because this class, in the access class, you'll have this adapt where class. This is very helpful to troubleshoot some issues. Okay, if you installed HANA Studio, what you can do is you can take this particular class, that select statement, and run that select statement in your HANA Studio so that you will see how the results are coming up there. Okay, so that is about search. Any questions? Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Okay, fine. So this is basically for the ABAP or MDG technical folks. For the functionals, usually I don't explain this because now what I understood is most of you are from ABAP background, so it will be helpful for your troubleshooting some issues and everything. Okay, fine. So after this, okay, so now this is done. Search. Okay. Now let's look at what is duplicate check configuration. Just give me 1 minute. Okay. So now let's discuss about duplicate check functionality. Okay. So we discussed that like such applications are there where you can actually search before creation of any master data. That will help to some extent to avoid any duplicate record creation.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
But it is not mandating. Once you come to this search application, instead of search, you can directly go ahead and click on new as well, right? So again, basically, though we are forcing the users to navigate to search application, but they can create directly without searching from here. Okay, so in that case, there should be something like systematic check from the background. When I'm creating any object, it can be material, customer, vendor, any object, there should be a way in the backend that should based on the data that I'm entering. So let's say, for example, I'm creating one material. Okay. So when I'm entering here some data, let's say, for example, I entered the unit of measure H. Then after that, material type is FERT. Okay. So then enter some data. Okay. So then as soon as you enter some data and let's say old material number is also there. So you are entering some old material number, which is referring like MX 1000. Okay. So this is your old material number, something like that. When you enter this data, maybe based on assume that this is your search criteria to identify. Sorry, this is your duplicate criteria to identify these are the duplicate records. Okay. And in the backend, once you configure the duplicate check, once that is enabled, so as soon as you enter the data and hit enter or something when you're doing some activity in the backend, while you are in the creation process itself, the backend system will read this data and it will query your database. It will query your database with these parameters. And if there are any matching records are there, it will show that for this material that you are going to create. So these are the potential duplicates. Based on this data you entered, I found some matching records. Okay. Do you wanted to still create that material or you wanted to go ahead and use the existing material? Again, it's a warning. It never it stops. Like it's not a hard stop. So it suggests that these materials are already there. Okay. This is very useful, especially in case of customers or vendors or partner creation. Because in case of partners, customers, vendors, so first we need to identify there is a very high chances that duplicate records will get created. People will directly create a new records. So for sure, mandatorily, we need to establish one duplicate criteria. We need to enable the duplicate check functionality for customers, vendors, partners, even for materials as well. When you are setting up your enabling the governance process or MDG processes for your master data. So this is also duplicate check also we should recommend, though customer is not giving this kind of requirement because they might not be aware of this duplicate check functionality. So we can ask the customer business users that saying that, okay, so we have this functionality, you tell us what is your duplicate criteria so that we can enable as per that configuration, so that whoever is user creating the master data, it will automatically detect based on the data. If there are duplicates are there, it will give a proposal. Okay. So that's how actually this duplicate check functionality we can enable. Okay. Now coming back to the criteria, there is no one single criteria across all the organizations because different customers will have different criteria. Let's take example, some organizations, for them duplicate criteria means if address data is matching, name and address data is matching for customers or vendors, that will be a duplicate criteria. For some people, for some organizations, if maybe tax data is matching, that might be a duplicate record. For some organizations, if bank data is matching, then it will be, we need to consider this as a duplicate record. Okay. So likewise, different organizations will have different criteria that we need to identify. We need to discuss with the business and come up with a proposal, the actual proposal, what is your exact duplicate criteria while we are in the implementation phase itself. Okay. Similarly for material masters. So there are like some people will follow the material descriptions. Some people will follow the international EAN number. There is international article number. So likewise for materials also people will identify what is a duplicate criteria. Okay. So in the design phase or implementation phase itself, once you identify the duplicate criteria, then enable this duplicate check as part of your project go live. So once you enable this duplicate check as part of your MDG stuff, then once you start creating the master data using MDG processes, so it will start validating the data, run the duplicate check, and if there are any duplicate records are there, it will give a proposal. Okay. So it should not be like, okay, I created with some criteria, and after that, maybe after 6 months, I identified that no, this is not the criteria, and I wanted to go with another duplicate criteria. Okay. And again, after 6 months, again, you change your duplicate criteria. Okay. So it shouldn't be like that. That is not a good practice or recommended approach. So that's why identify what is your duplicate criteria in the start of the project itself and implement that. Okay. And again, if there are multiple teams are working, because this duplicate criteria works at object level, not for your, so the criteria has to be unique at object level. You cannot have multiple criteria for multiple based on the CR types or something else, because if you look at overall material master, this is the duplicate criteria, no matter how many teams are working. So that's why we need to have an alignment with all the teams, cross teams as well. Hey, this is what we are going to set up the duplicate criteria. Do you see any challenges? So that alignment has to be done across all the teams for one data model. Similarly for BP. Okay. Because in most of the time, what I have seen is in case of customers and vendors, there will be one team working on customer, another team working on vendors, one more team working on partners. Okay. Now customer will have some different duplicate criteria and the vendor will have different duplicate criteria. That cannot be the same. So because in MDG, everything is a BP. Okay. So under BP, you will have one criteria. You cannot configure multiple at any point of time for one data model or for one SU type 1 parent entity, one duplicate criteria applicable. Okay. So that is one thing. Okay. Is this clear? Okay. So now how to configure the duplicate criteria in the system. Okay. So for that one, so go to define search applications here. Okay. So here you see all the different search modes like HANA search mode, enterprise search, DB search, remote key search. Remote key search is obsolete. No one is actually using. Okay. Either if you are HANA, it will be HANA search. If you are on ECC, it will be DB search. Okay. So these are the different search modes. Now, first you need to choose, because we are in HANA, always we'll choose this one. Okay. So select your HANA search mode. Okay. Why? Because the duplicate criteria means ultimately it prepares one select statement and that select statement has to be executed on your database. So for that one, whether you wanted to use the HANA search or what is your search technique, that is required, which technique you wanted to use. So that's why we always, if you are on HANA system, choose a HANA. Okay. Now, once you select this one, there are two steps to configure this duplicate check. Two steps are there. Okay. Step one is define match profile. Okay. So this match profile is basically, it's very simple. What attributes you wanted to keep as part of what is your duplicate check definition. Okay. It can be like an address, or it can be like a bank, or it can be like some maybe material number, material description, something like that. Okay. So you need to add under this match profile, you need to add all the list of attributes which forms your duplicate criteria. It's very simple. Okay. So this is a step one. Step two is activate this match profile. Activate this match profile. That's it. Okay. So now first we need to define the match profile. Okay. So select your search mode, go to match profile. Okay. Now you can see here already for SAP, for Material Master, SAP already delivered one match profile. Okay. Now we wanted to create a duplicate check for our Material Master. Okay. So I don't wanted to use this match profile. I wanted to create my own match profile. Okay. So what you can do is you can click on new entry. Data model is provide your name, match profile name, ZMM underscore check. Okay. So this is your match profile. Now your type 1 entity, material, description, match profile per. Okay. So that's it. This is the just match profile we created. Under this match profile, now we wanted to add the attributes. Okay. So your duplicate criteria, the attributes that can be part of either your type 1 or it can be part from your type 4 as well. Okay, you can choose the different attributes. Okay, first identify. In our case, I wanted to create a duplicate check based on material type and material group. Assume that material type and material group. Okay, so then you can actually click on new entries. Your both material type and material group are part of my material entity. So I'm just adding that entity, and here material type MT ART. Okay, and material group also material group. What is that field name? Material type, material group, MATKL. Okay, MATKL. So I just added those attributes, my material type and material group. This is my part of my duplicate criteria. Okay. Now, after this, let's look at here fuzziness. I'll come back to this weight. Okay. Let's look at this fuzziness. Okay. Fuzziness is by default, if you are on HANA system, at the backend HANA DB layer level, for every attribute, SAP by default keeps some fuzziness. That fuzziness is basically, let me show you here. Okay. So here, okay, fuzziness. So it varies from 0 to 1 value. Okay. First of all, what is fuzziness? So like how much percentage this word is matching. That means we saw the demo. Okay. FERT is a material type. Okay. Assume that this is 100%. If I enter, so system, if I enter FRT, so system allocates certain value for each matching percentage record character. So let's say this is for 25%, this is for 25, 25, and 25. Okay, equal importance. Now in this one, I selected only FRT and I'm trying to search with FRT. That means here it will be 25, 25, and 25. Okay, so totally it comes to 75. Okay, so that's why in the earlier example, when I search with FRT, you got that 75% matching. Okay, so this fuzziness is, that means here it's not, if you keep 1 here, that means every character has to match. Every character has to match. Okay, it is equivalent to your exact search. But by default system, your HANA, for every attribute, it keeps by default the fuzziness is 0.7%. 0.7 means up to 70% it can match up that records. Okay, the value has to match up to 70%. Okay, so by default, this is the value. If the more value you keep, let's say if you keep 1, if I try to search with FRT, I don't get any record because here the fuzziness is 1. But with this one, I got only 75%. Okay, that is nothing but 0.75. So it will never match. So you don't get that records, FRT. The reason when I search with FRT, I'm getting the records because that comes as a 0.75%, which is above the default value. 0.7 is the default value for every attribute. That's why you are getting that result. Okay. Now here, this is the default of fuzziness that for every attribute at HANA DB level that will be there. Now you wanted to change that you can change it. Otherwise, if you don't maintain anything over here, system will consider the default value, whatever is maintained for at the HANA in the backend level. So we usually don't maintain this. We just leave it blank. Let the default will take that precedence. Is this clear to all of you? What is this fuzziness? Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
The next, yeah. So the next one is mandatory. So mandatory means, let's look at this UI. Okay, so my criteria is material type and material group. Okay, so now I entered here only the material type. Material group is not yet entered. Okay, so that means at what point of time your duplicate check has to trigger. Either if you select like this, the duplicate check will get triggered only when you user enter the value for both these attributes. So both are mandatory to trigger my duplicate check. That means at this point of time, my duplicate check won't get triggered. Only when I enter my material group here, then only the duplicate check will get executed. So what are the attributes that you wanted to make it mandatory to trigger your duplicate check? Sometimes I can add some additional attributes as well, but the bare minimum mandatory attributes you will select over here. Okay. So if you keep it like this, system will trigger the duplicate check when you enter, as soon as you enter this MTRT material type. After that, when you enter material group also, again, one more time it will get triggered. But if you select both, only when you enter both the values on the UI, then only your duplicate check will get triggered. Okay. So this is about mandatory. Now the sequence is in which it's just a information, not a great thing in the sense on the output, right? In the duplicate criteria, you get a pop-up. What is your duplicate of the records? I'll show you that one. So how the pop-up look like? Yeah, this is the one. Okay. So it's you get this kind of pop-up here. I'm creating one business partner. For the business partner, it shows the potential duplicate. You see, this is the existing record. Now the sequence talks about in which sequence the selected field should get displayed, right? So that's what it talks about the sequence, but you can leave it, let it in. We don't care in whatever sequence it get displayed. No matter, it doesn't, not a big deal. Okay. Now there is one more. You can see here, exclude attribute from search. Exclude attribute from search. The purpose of this one is, let's say, for example, I'm showing this particular business partner. Okay. Or probably assume that these are your material number. Okay. So here usually it shows your actual material number, that the number. Okay. Not the description. But most of the time what happens is the users will identify the materials based on the descriptions, not based on the numbers. Okay. So for whatever may be the HP customer number, it's a 123 XYZ, I don't care. But if I see the description, I can understand that this is okay, HP customer. There is an already existing HP customer. Okay. In the same way, but that description should not be part of my search criteria, but it should be part of in the displayed result. Okay. So that means now if you look at here, both will be part of my search criteria as well as in the displayed version. But whereas if I select like this, okay, this attribute is not part of my duplicate criteria. System will fire a select statement only with this one. But in the result on the pop-up, it will show both the values. Okay. Most of the time we add the description fields, and description field we will say here exclude from search. That means those attributes won't be part of your select statement while identifying or determining your duplicate, but that attribute value will be fetched and it will show up on your duplicate check pop-up, so that the users can, by reading the description, they can identify that, hey, this is the description of this particular material. So that is the significance of this particular exclude this one. Is this clear to all of you? Okay. So now we discussed about this. Yeah.
Fuzziness, can you please come again for fuzziness?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So basically, fuzziness is right. So the value varies from 0 to 1+1. 1 indicates it should exact match. Okay. Now you are searching with something. Okay. You are searching with FERT. Okay. Now if I enter, if you say the fuzziness is 1, that means when I enter FERT, then only I will get the matching results. Because here this you are entering this full value, and the full value consider it as a 1. Okay. But sometimes you by mistake you search like this. That means here also system will actually, when it is reading the data from your, it is firing the select statement, right? So when it is reading the data, it will look up for every record. Okay. So there is a material 1. For material 1, system will, when it is trying to match in your where class this FRT with this one, okay, it will do this calculation. And if the fuzziness is 1 and you entered FRT, this record won't consider because this is not matching with this one. You said 100% should match. But whereas if I keep the fuzziness as 0.7% for this particular attribute, that means system will calculate how much percentage this FRT is matching with this record. If it is more above 0.7, then it will fetch this record in your result or in your duplicate check criteria anywhere. This record also will be considered. Is it clear?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So see, if at all, if I say fuzziness as 1, that means it should always look for an exact match. But sometimes we don't wanted to search with exact match, because if you always search with exact match, I'm trying to search some customers with some street, let's say Avenue 100. Maybe some people will enter something like that, Avenue 100. Some people will enter AVE 100. Some people will enter AV 100 only. Okay. So even if I search with this or with this is this, I should get some result. The exact match records will show 100%. The partial matching this will show how much percentage it is matching. Based on that one, it will calculate that percentage and it will show up over here. This is 100% matching, 80% matching, 70% matching. Okay. If you need this one, you need to system in HANA, it keeps that fuzziness property. It's a property for every field at the table level. Okay. So by default, the default value is 0.7%. Okay. That's why you see here, when I try to search with, here, FRT, ideally there is no record with FRT. FRT is not a valid material type. By mistake, I selected this. When I click on search, now see, though you search with FRT, you got materials with FERT, but the percentage matching is 75 point something because of the fuzziness. Okay. So when you search with, let's say, for example, text field, is there any description? Okay. So material description is there. Test. You search with some test, click on search. You see, there are many materials got selected. Some of them are this test and this test is exact match. That's why you see it's 100%. And this test and this test is exactly matching 100%. This is along with that one, it has some extra information, but still you got this result. There are some set somewhere you see this, maybe I think this is because of some characters are matching. You are getting this to 74%. So dummy text, again 74%. So likewise, because if I keep always for the description, the fuzziness as 1, you see only these 2 results, not all the other result. Okay. Similarly, why we are talking in the duplicate check, because this is also a select statement. Duplicate check also fires a select statement. So when I'm firing a select statement, I don't want it to look only the exact records, matching records. I wanted to see some probable duplicate records as well. Okay. So that's why at the duplicate check configuration as well, SAP provided this fuzziness, but most of the time we keep it blank. Okay. Because the default value is 0.7 that will take place. Clear? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. After all these things, we have something called
What about weight? Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming to this one only. Okay. So now, because now you are clear with all these things, now wait. So based on this fuzziness, the system, you see here, it calculated some rank. Okay. So based on that one, what happens is you will give some importance to some fields. Let's say, for example, if you don't give anything, it's a equal importance. Equal importance in the sense, let's say, for example, in the same example, FERT. For all these characters, you are giving equal importance. That means 25%, 25%, 25%, 25%. Okay. So if I search with FRT, I get the score as 75% because one character is missing, the remaining characters are matching. Let's say, for example, if I give something like this, probably for this one, I'm giving 50%. And for E, I'm giving some list weightage. So this is basically weightage. Okay. So let's say, for example, only 5%. And for this one, 25%. And for this one, how much? 80, right? 20. Okay. Like this. Now, when I search with FRT, what happens is I will get more ranking. Why? Because earlier E contributes 25%. That's why you got 75%. Now E contributes less and remaining there are more matching records are there. Okay, you sum up this, let's say it comes to 95, 95 divided by, no, not like that. It do some calculation in the back end. Okay, but here, if you look at logically, this is a less importance. This is more importance, then this is the second more, this is the third more, this is the least importance. So when it calculates that rank also, you get more value. Okay, so now coming back to our weight, what happens is you can decide how much weight you wanted to give for each field. If you don't give anything, it's a like equal weight. Let's say this should have more weightage. That means, let's say you give here some 90% weightage and some 10% weightage for this one, which means, so based on this weightage, system will calculate some, based on this weightage, it will calculate, let me show you here. You give for material type, MTART, you give the weightage as 90. And for this one, what is it, MATKL? For MATKL, you give only 10% weightage. Okay. Now, there are, let's say, out of 100 records, 70 records, 70 records, this is matching. And okay, and for 30 records, maybe for 20 records, let's say for 20 records, this is matching. You have some 10 records, for 10 records, both are matching. This one and this one, both are matching. Okay, when system, see, if when I'm trying to find a duplicate record, okay, I will query the database and it give me some results, maybe some 100 records. Now, out of 100 records, system will do this kind of calculation based on the weightage. Okay, this is more weightage. I need to give more weightage to this one. Okay, that means these 70 records I need to give more weightage. Okay, so in the output, when I'm showing the duplicate record or result output, now, okay, it based on this, it will assign some weightage to each of those records. Okay, for the 70 records, it will add the weightage as 70. For 20 records, it will add the weightage, let's say, for example, some 40% only. Okay, for these 10 records, both are matching, right? So that means it will give some 100% weightage because for this one, both are matching. Okay, now once it assigns the weightage to each of these records, okay, so after that, in the step 2, where we are saying that activate the duplicate check criteria, there you have something called low threshold and high threshold. Okay, so you say here, that means, let's say, for example, greater than 60 and less than 90, something like this. Okay, if you specify like this, what happens is records which are greater than 60. That means greater than 60 means these 10 records and these 70 records. So these will be considered, these are falls under this 70 records falls under this range and 10 records are above 90%. Okay, that is 10 records. Okay, the remaining 40 records are less than basically 60. Okay, so it will categorize. Okay, when I find the select statement, if all the records are given equal importance, so then there is no issue. But if you provide this kind of weightage, then system will calculate the weightage. Based on that weightage, it will categorize the records, and records which are greater than 60%, those will be considered as a probable duplicates, and the system will ignore records which are less than 60. These 40 records will never show up on your duplicate pop-up because as per your criteria, these are not a valid duplicate records because it is below that low threshold value. Is this clear? Okay. So now, so for the calculation, if you don't maintain anything, system will give equal importance for all the records and it will calculate the weightage. But the low threshold and high threshold you have to maintain in the next step. Okay. So usually we don't maintain this weightage. Let's leave it this one. So we just created one match profile under HANA search for data model with these two attributes and both are mandatory. Now, once you create this particular match profile, okay, the same way SAP created match profiles for, you can see for material master, there's a standard match profile, right? If you open this, so you can see they have provided some sequence. Some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional. So they haven't maintained fuzziness and weight. Okay, so this is fine. Now, after this, the step 2. Step 2 is configure duplicate check. Okay, so this is a place where we activate the duplicate check. Okay, you go to this one, click on new entry, enter your data model, your entity type, material entity type. Okay, your search mode is HANA. Okay, this is the place where you maintain the low threshold and high threshold. So low threshold, I will say, let's say for example 60, high threshold as 90. Okay, and here you need to provide what is the match profile you wanted to use. Depends on your match profile only, your duplicate criteria will be defined. When you do F4, there are two match profiles are there. We will use our match profile. Okay, and include search help. So this includes search help is nothing but whatever the HANA search views are available. So those standard HANA search views, you can use any of these one because this search view will be used to query your database. Okay, so that's why you need to use the search view. Okay, so that's it. So once you actually configure this, click on save. Okay, so duplicate, we activated this duplicate check for MM. Okay, now you can go to material master. Okay, so first let me FERT material type and material group. Let me choose FERT. Just 5 more minutes so that we can close this topic logically. So material type, material group 01, you have many records. Okay, so from here, let's try to. Okay, so after this base unit of measure each, it should get an error message, warning message saying duplicate check is not triggered because we entered only one, but why this is not coming in? So let me find material group 01. Checking in this system, there's some issue. Earlier also I tried. So basically, because now you entered material type and material group, it should trigger. Okay. Wait a second. Lesson MDG. One reason could be, yes, what could be the issue? We discussed this. Are you able to recollect anything? This is the one which we used, right? Matel 01. Go to change request step, 00 step.
Duplicate check option.
But duplicate check is here. I thought this could be the reason, but duplicate check is relevant and we use the Matel 01 only. Earlier also I tried,
Maintain the description.
but still it should, irrespective of that one, it should trigger. Okay, so why this is not triggering? So once you maintain these two, it should automatically trigger the duplicate check. And we selected this one here, Matel 01 by.
The inverse one and
Sorry.
No.
Okay, so ideally it should trigger, but I think is there any in this system, is there any other stuff that is missing? While duplicate check is not getting check. Okay, fine then. So the steps are the same thing. What I will do is anyway, check this one, why it is not triggering. And in the next session, when we connect on, the next session is on 26th. So by that time, I'll fix this issue. What is the issue? I'll try to analyze this. It's a system issue. It's not like if you try in your project specific systems, it should work. In this system only, I think some issue is there. Are probably we don't know if someone did some enhancement that is bypassing this duplicate check. So I will check that because that requires to debug some standard piece of code. I'll check that and we can see this demo on Thursday in the next session. Okay, but the configuration remains same. There is nothing absolutely any other steps. You just need to create one match profile over here and maintain that match profile over here. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.